welcome to another episode of the Couch Warriors. We've been treated to another lovely round of rugby league. We do apologise, the podcast is a little bit later than usual. We're recording on a Wednesday, about an hour before State of Origin, but thought I'd, for those who are listening, I'm wearing my New South Wales Blues jersey and happy to be here. So yeah, I'm Richard, the bandwagon conductor, as John calls me, and I'm joined as always by John. John, how are you, my bro? Having a good week?
I was until you put that jersey on. Yeah, I don't have a maroon jersey. Just for everyone, so everyone knows, I'm a Queensland supporter. So there is a bit of a rivalry between me and Richard here. But yeah, I should have a jersey, shouldn't I? It's pretty bad of me. But no, I'm doing good. It's been a busy week. Hence the fact that we're recording on Wednesday. So again, like Richard said, apologies for the late episode. But we're still committed to get this done. That's why we're doing this an hour before Origin. So if we talk about Origin today, you're going to hear answers from us. Hopefully they come right when you listen to it after Origin's done.
Yeah, well, I mean, by the time the listeners hear it, they'll probably the game will be over. But I might as well just quickly ask you. I have a couple of
Yeah.
questions to ask you, like who's winning man of the match, John?
For Origin,
Yeah,
um, I am going to give it to Karen Munster. Cameron Munster.
uh,
Karen Munster. I couldn't Karen Munster. Cameron Munster here.
on a losing team,
Yep.
I'll go Mitch Moses, so I
No,
can easily have a
whatever.
blinder. And winning
All
team
right.
and margin, I'm going to go New South Wales 1-12. Who you got?
Queensland 1-12.
Okay. And first send off,
Yeah.
Spencer Leniu for me.
Oh, either him or Latrell Mitchell. Those are the two usually common culprits. But he's
I like,
tidied up his game a bit, isn't he, Latrell Mitchell this year?
I say, and he normally behaves in Origin as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's it for
Yeah.
Origin. There's no point sort of delving into that too much. We're here to talk about the Warriors, who yeah came off their first loss, and the 5 game winning streak was ended against the Raiders on
Yeah.
on Sunday night. It was a bit of a funny game, funny experience watching it for me. I was watching it delayed. I had about an hour delay just with family stuff that was on. So I did very well. I turned my phone on, turned the notifications off my phone and everything, and I was putting my daughter to sleep, and then just I wasn't thinking about it, but checked Facebook and I saw the score. I was about
Oh,
up to half time at that point, so I saw your post, John, that you put up actually saying not our night tonight or something like that. So pretty disappointing
yeah.
loss. But it was just I like watched the second half knowing that we'd lost. It was quite frustrating because I was watching that final 10 minutes thinking how did we not score here? So um, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean where did it all go wrong for you, John, from watching that game live?
Oh, well, first, sorry that you had to see that post because I know there's nothing worse than just you're wanting to watch the game, even if it's delayed, and then you find out the score. It just ruins it, doesn't it? It just ruins it for you, doesn't it? So sorry about that, bro.
Yeah.
Didn't realize you were busy at the time. But no,
Oh, I'd done really well. I'd done
where
really
did it
well.
go?
Like I turned all my notifications off, and I wasn't checking my phone.
Yeah,
And then it was just, it's just natural habit just to open Facebook or Instagram or whatever it was, and then I saw it there. I was like, damn it! But yeah, sorry.
yeah.
As you were.
Well, yeah. I think, for example, let me summarize the game in one word: disappointing. I thought the game was a bit of a snore fest. It was quite boring. And the reason I say that is because, okay, look, let me say this: both sides were marvelous on defense. I thought they both had really good defense, but when you flip the switch and go to attack, I thought both sides were just really they lacked creativity. Both sides were going side to side. It wasn't really doing. There was nothing going. It took one sort of line break to break that hoodoo on the Warriors' defense there, and we Fogarty scored there, and in the second half. But I still thought that we had so much time to be able to come back. We had so much time to score and come back, at least to draw the level with the game, when we were in their red zone so much, but we just couldn't get through. And it wasn't. And you can say, well, they tried, but no, it just looked really. It was just a really bland attack, and I just think that there was just no creativity there, and I just didn't think we didn't look like scoring. Put it that way, we did not look like scoring, and we had many opportunities, and that's what's been the issue with the Warriors this year. So, for example, people can come at me and say, "Well, John, the Warriors are winning though. They won five in a row. Yeah, I know they won five in a row, but they didn't win five in a row on amazing attack. The games were very tight, and the scores weren't big blowout scores. And so, even though they've won the game, they've won their games have been won on the back of defense, and they've been able to put a try or two on just to get ahead of the opposition. But it's not because our attack is doing so well. Because the old saying they say, "Oh, don't if it's not broken, don't need to fix it." But the thing is, yes, we've won those games and it's awesome and I love it. But how long can that go for? How long can you keep winning games on the back of defense and not have a great attack to accompany it? So that was my thought on the game. I thought it was just a really really boring game. Yeah, defense was awesome from both sides. Like I said, it was just the lack of attack. But I mean, I guess what took away from the game was the whole lack of ill discipline from both sides, especially the Raiders. I thought it was quite some grubby moves in there. But look, I'll talk more about that in a minute. But I want to hear what your thoughts are on the game.
Yeah, similar boat. To be honest, I just having watched that second half, knowing the score, yeah, it was really frustrating. I think there was positives to take from the game, and you've alluded to the fact that the defense was really good from us, and for the and we didn't have one of those sort of moments where we let in 6 or 7 tries and a 20-minute period or whatever it's been sort of the last few weeks. So that was it was promising that was happening, but yeah, just the inability to we gave away some pretty stupid penalties for them to get those 4 points, which they kicked. They kicked 2 penalties, and we kicked 2 penalties as well. It's not often you see 2 penalties these days from each team, but it obviously is a sign of the game and how close it was and that sort of thing. But just jotted down a few stats here. We only had a 75% completion rate, so there's been games where we've been averaging sort of 85 up to sort of 90 this season. So the fact that we're down to 75, probably, some of that was the conditions. It wasn't a great day for it. But yeah, we only completed 34 or 45 sets. We trailed in runs taken, run meters, post-contact meters, line breaks, tackle breaks, and offloads. So we just kind of, just got outplayed sort of all over the park, really. And with the inability to score late, I had a look at the kicking stats, and they had 7 bombs they put up. We only put 3 up, and they had 5 grubbers to our 2. So, like even when we in that final 10 minutes, I felt like too often we were just actually trying to run the ball over the ground, and we just needed, there was just the sort of creativity with the kicking was really lacking. So, and we had 14 errors as well, which is, it's never going to help the cause. I think Canberra had about 10. And then as you alluded to, the discipline on both sides, but more from Canberra. But yeah, it was just one of those frustrating wins. And a lot of sort of Warriors fans have been pointing fingers and saying, this person should be gone or this person should be gone. But I do think there was definitely still positives to take. And kudos to that Canberra team. Their defensive effort in that final 10 minutes was incredible, because we were charging our way up the field and getting ourselves into the sort of 20 metres from their goal line, and we just weren't able to penetrate up to basically the last play where, there was that short ball to Nuakore, and I can't remember who made the tackle, maybe sort of on Sebastian Chris's centre in that sort of area. But yeah, it was, so kudos to Canberra. They look like a really good team if they can really pull it together. But they're definitely, I do love the Canberra Raiders. They're my second favourite team, but they've got to be up there with the grubbiest team in the comp at the moment as well, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I totally agree with you. Like in the sense, I mean, you got to give kudos to Canberra, and they were the better team on the night, right? They were the better team on the night. It's just that, like, and I also agree with you in terms of their defense. I thought their defense was good, and especially in the last 5 to 10 minutes. But at the same time, I will say this though. I will say this though, that we didn't look like scoring either. You would have seen that last 5 to 10 minutes. Did it look like we weren't doing anything to, like, sort of break the line? We were always pushing out to the side. And that there was that one time we had a penalty, and we went out wide straight away, and then we got to Dallin, and then he threw it back in. We lost it on the first ball. Um, we threw it in because he was getting pushed out the sideline because we were just stretching out too far to the edge, and I didn't understand why you would do that on the first tackle, and second, I don't know why the players weren't getting the ball and straightening up, and then passing it, to their running man. So it was just all too much side by side action for me, too much to the side, and I just thought we didn't look like scoring. So that was the most frustrating part for me, is that we didn't look like scoring. We had the opportunities. We can't say that we didn't have the opportunities. We did, but we just didn't look like scoring. So, but again, I thought it was also a game that was marred by the ill discipline. I mean, Tapani, one of my favourite players, but far out. Well, what on a 1 to 10 on a 1 to 10 level, what in terms of a grub level, where's Tapani for you?
Yeah, well, like he obviously got put on report twice, I think, in the end. When Josh Starling did that big late sort of high jump up and took Harris DeVito out after he'd kicked it,
Yeah,
Tapani was sort of complaining, saying, and every time that the Canberra Raiders were very clearly doing something illegal, yeah, he was really standing up for his team. So, yeah, obviously be a good team man to have around, but yeah, and he was playing up to the crowd as well, doing the big sort of crying symbol out to the crowd and all that. So I
yeah, I
feel like
know.
he was really enjoying being the villain in that game, and he played the role well. But yeah, nah, as far as a grub factor goes, I definitely give him a 7 or an 8, probably an 8 for that game. I reckon he was right up there. I thought, yeah,
Yeah,
obviously Horsburgh got it, had got his sort of fingers in the pie as well, and Starling with that sort of late hit, which, yeah, I mean, they tried to challenge it. Like, I don't know what I don't know what they were challenging there. Like, that's a pretty blatant bet, like jumping up to it as well.
yeah,
Not just late, not just high, but taking the kicker out by literally jumping up and hitting him in the chin. So he got what he deserved. And I
yeah,
think he's got a week or two ban as well. So yeah, like
yeah.
Canberra, I didn't have Canberra on my list of grubbiest sort of teams in the comp, but they definitely proved they've got a bit in them. And then even after the game, I don't know if you saw, but there was young Tamale was, but he was really giving the crowd one, and a
Yeah,
few of the
he looked
other
like he
boys
looked
looked like they
stupid.
were
He looked
giving,
stupid.
yeah, looked like an idiot,
Yeah.
eh? um,
I'm all for aggression. Yeah. Oh,
no,
sorry. Keep
no,
going.
no, you go, bro, because I was going to ask another question, but you continue on that.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm all for aggression, and like in getting and riling up the fans, like especially if they're giving it to you as well. But he just looked stupid, and Horsburgh as well. With pointing the fingers at the crowd at the end. I reckon that's one of the main reasons why he doesn't get selected for higher honours. I know he's been in this Queensland squad before, but I reckon he misses out sometimes because he's just too much of a live wire, and then like he's just too much of a liability. Kind of like how Reed Mahoney, build he's kind of like that as well, sort of thing. He just his ill discipline sort of makes his team suffer. So I
Yeah,
reckon that's why Horsburgh misses out on higher honors at times. But yeah, I thought it was pretty grubby, and like I said, I don't mind aggression and stuff and showing a bit of that. But for me, what really annoyed me was Ricky Stewart and his comments at the end. The most stupidest comments I've heard from one of the most crybabies. If Joe Tapani wants to do this, I mean he should be doing it to his coach because he's one of the biggest whingers in the game. He actually said around the aggression and discipline on the game. We can't discipline aggression. Our game and our broadcasters promote aggression. We must be real careful that we don't scrutinize aggressive actions in a game that is molded on pure aggression and passion. I'm not promoting foul play. I'm dead against it. But there are lots of accidental high shots, and that's all part of it. They're penalties, but the match review committee can't go out there and bash players for aggression because we need it in our game to maintain the entertainment. What a load of rubbish! I mean, I actually agree with what he's saying, but the thing is, he's talking about things like Starling's hit on Terrace Davida, etc. And that was just the biggest sin bin in the world, and he's trying to get out of it. And it's just ironic that the biggest whinger of the game is like saying, "Nah, it's okay, it was all good." It's like, shut up, Ricky, you dumbass. Far out. I'll go riled up about it now. So yeah, I hope he hears this, flipping Ricky Stewart. Yeah,
I'm sure he does. Him and Laurie Daly sit down weekly and have a cup of tea and a Tim
yeah,
Tam and listen to the Couch Warriors just to get a feel for what the
yeah,
people are saying. I was going to ask, yeah, just about the officiating on the game because I found it quite funny. Yeah, just like going through, scrolling through social media after the game, and it, it seemed like the Warriors fans thought that they were dogged by the ref, and the Raiders fans thought they were dogged by the ref. You don't really see in NRL games players basically just getting sent off for repeat infringements. You obviously see it a lot in rugby union. But I feel like you
Yeah.
don't see it often in league. So for it to happen twice in the game, both Horsburgh and Chance, just at times where
Yeah.
the Raiders or the Warriors they were just giving away penalty or six again after six again. I don't mind seeing it at all. But did you feel like we were hard done by the refs, or you feel like it was pretty fairly
Nah.
done?
Nah. Not at all. I mean, I don't think the officiating was the greatest, but both sides got it, so you can't
Consistent.
say one had an advantage or the other. Yeah, it was it wasn't one advantage over the other, and Chance was just unlucky. He was just the one that had the he's the one that paid the price for all those little infringements because it was actually Jacob Laban's fault. I was watching it really closely. He kept on coming off his line really early, and that's why the referee kept on giving six agains. I was watching it, and Jacob Laban just kept on coming off early and like six again, came back, come does it again. So Jacob Laban did it like two or three times. I watched it closely and in the end the referee had enough. And Chance, because he made the tackle, he actually had paid the price for it. Jacob Laban's mistake. So I was actually pretty annoyed with that. I love Jacob Laban. I think he's an awesome player, but that was just real bad discipline from him to be coming off the line and then to be told by the referee six again because you're coming off the line too early, and just to repeat doing that, just to repeatedly do that, and you just put your team, you just you stuff your team up a bit there. So that really annoyed me seeing that because yeah, it put us under a lot of fire, a lot of pressure there. So I think to be honest, and I'm talking from an honest point of view here, and which I always do, is that I just don't think a lot of players on our side had the greatest of games. I think that maybe there's a handful of players that did really well for our side, but I think overall as a team we didn't do the greatest. Still think that DWZ is still a long way off to coming to his best. I think he just doesn't look his normal self, does he? He does not look his normal self at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. Just got some stats written down here. He 10 runs for 78 meters, and he had three handling errors, and he was sort of yeah. I had literally had this looks the shell of the player that we know he is. So hopefully it's just him building back from his injuries.
Yeah,
Also, Ali Lautoa didn't have
yeah,
his strongest game. He was sort of a late in. Came in the centres, and Kurtwell went back to second row, but he got
yeah,
massively outplayed by Sebastian Kris, who was up against. He had 8 runs for
yeah,
63 meters. So yeah, we just sort of need a lot more from our outside backs. I mean, two of your outside backs between them, only getting 140, 150 odd sort of running meters from their 16 runs. You need a bit more. So you still saw the same from Chance. Chance was up around 200 running meters. I thought Roger had a really good game. And
yeah,
Pompey it wasn't Pompey's best game, but he didn't really do anything wrong, I think. But they were the sort of two that I had
yeah,
circled as just you kind of need a bit more from your outside backs. And a game like that, when the conditions aren't great, to be sort of making a few more meters and getting their hands on the ball a bit more. So um, yeah, I mean, and it looks like Ali's, paid for it this week. It looks like he's been hit. From what I can see, he's been dropped
yeah,
New South Wales Cup with Rocco Berry coming back in the team, and it feels like this is probably the first week in all season where we've had a full strength team. So we'll talk about that game soon. That game, yeah, against the Rabbitohs this weekend more. But
yeah.
I did want, yeah, I mean, I sort of just had a question about is there something the Warriors are missing on attack? Like you sort of talked about it before, where we didn't look like scoring. Like what are you putting it down to? Is it a lack of imagination in the halves, or
Yep,
is there sort of
yep.
an issue elsewhere?
No, you put it right there. The lack of imagination in the halves, but also not just in terms of set plays, but also last tackle plays where like it seems like we're just doing the same. It seems like it's just something just a copy and paste of every set, and And we've said this at the start of the season as well, where there was a lot of up and unders, where there's no kick chase and stuff, and not contesting as well and stuff. And I just think that I don't know. I still, despite the fact that we've been winning and we're third on the ladder, so you wouldn't think that we're not doing bad. But the thing is, those we could be in such a better position if they just did some things like that. We've seen in some recent games where when they actually do compete for the ball, how it's paid off, etc. And I just don't think, for example, Harris Tavita has the kicking game to be a strong 5'8", and again, people might actually not like what I'm saying here because again, a lot of fans come out saying, if it's not broken, you don't need to fix it. But the thing is that yeah, we're winning and stuff, but it could be a lot better. It could be a lot better in terms of points. We're third on the table and we're on -1 points differential. How does that happen? How does that happen? So that just
Yeah.
shows you right there. I think we've got I think on stats in the whole competition we're right up there for best defensive teams. We're right up there for best defensive teams, but I think we're like in the top 5 for worst attacks in the competition. You win
Yeah.
competitions on defense, but you also have to put the points on the board to win as well. And if you haven't got the attack, and the thing is, there's the proof right there. The stats are there. The stats don't lie. We are not doing enough on attack. And I mean, something for me, I'm going to say this. I'll say it right now. Something has to change there because not just because we lost on the weekend, but because it's just hasn't been that innovative. I mean, Metcalf is awesome. He's been doing great, but I just think that he could probably have a better partner in crime. And that doesn't mean Harris Tavita's been playing bad because yes, he has done some good things as well. He's an awesome defender. He scored some great tries as well, and he's had some good try assists as well. I admit that, but I just think that he might be better used as a utility in my opinion. And like if you're going to put Leotawa, into New South Wales Cup after just one game back, why can't you do that to other players? They had to have an off game as well because you look at, for example, DWZ. This will be his 4th game back. He hasn't been up to par as we know he can be. We know how good he is, but he has not been up there. But prior to him coming back in, Tuapiki was there, and Tuapiki was doing a great job. So
Yeah.
he paid the price for DWZ coming back and Roger coming back as well, but he still pays the price. So why can't other players pay the price as well? Why do they have to stay? Then people could say, oh, because they've been doing a great job. So is Tuapiki, but he's been dropped. He's not even in the 17.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and with
so
Tuapiki, I feel
that's why there's a confusion. Yeah,
yeah, I was gonna say with Tuapiki, I feel like he could have provided a spark we needed in that game. Like like we've sort of talked
yeah,
about how it just felt like we were doing well to make meters up the field, but we were lacking that sort of cherry on top. And I mean, he can provide that
yeah.
spark. He's the sort of guy that you need who can just score from nowhere. Like other teams, Storm's got the likes of sort of Pappenhausen, Reece Walsh for the Broncos. Cleary for the Panthers. There's players all over the comp. Jaden Campbell for the Titans. These guys who can just make something out of nothing, and that's kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
Metcalf's got it in him, but I don't think we probably see it enough to really be confident that he is that player. But I feel like Tuapiki's definitely got that in him. Rogers another guy who probably can do that. Rogers obviously, he's or maybe Roger, 2 or 3 years ago. These days, he fills his role really well, but there's no one else in that back line. Chance is a great
Yeah.
player, but he's not one of those sort of exciting, guy fullbacks who's
He's
gonna,
more
like
he's more of a
run the
workhorse,
field
isn't
and
he?
yeah, exactly. Like I mean, he puts in
Yeah.
heaps of work both sides of the ball, but yeah. So
Yep.
I mean, we're obviously both big fans of Tuapiki, so hopefully we will see him back. And with the way
Yeah.
injuries are going and all that, I'm sure that we will see him back in the 17 at some point this season. But until
Yep.
then, hopefully he can just
And
get some good game time up his sleeve in the New South Wales Cup.
But and so yeah, and I agree, man. And the thing is, the point I was trying to make as well, around to a picky, etc., is that there are players that have been dropped down. They were actually doing pretty well, and they've been dropped down for people who have got for players who have got more of a reputation. But those players, haven't been doing the greatest. So that's what I mean. So where do you draw the line? And even Ed Cossey, for example, I know he didn't have the greatest start to the season, but his last game he did pretty well before he got injured. He did pretty well before he got injured, and then he's just back to New South Wales Cup. And yeah, and it's just for me, it's just like far out. Like where do you draw the line? Roku Berry comes in for Leo Toa. Leo Toa's been part of this pretty much the side the whole season, done really well. Halasima didn't have the greatest game. I thought it was quite had a lot of errors and stuff, but he's allowed to have a bad game. He's been doing so well and stuff. And this is not me being This is not me being critical of him. I'm just saying he just didn't have the greatest game, and he's been brought back to the bench, which is a hard thing because I thought he deserved to start. And so, like, I mean, they've made decisions based on things like that and other players coming in. But I just think, well, that's not really fair onto a picky, and some other players that who've actually been doing really well. And when will there come a day this season when Tanner Boyd gets used because he had an offer from the Cowboys, he's turned it down. He said I'm going to stay, and he's taking his contract option in his he had an option in his contract to extend for another year. He's done that now. He's extended for another year, so he's staying with the Warriors, even though he's had no first grade games. So my question to you is like, when will Webster bring in Tanner Boyd at some point, because even he must know that something in the attack needs to be ignited, something needs to change, a spark needs to be lit in the attack.
Yeah, man, it's a real kerfuffle, that one, and the way that obviously Tamari Martin seems to have sort of being awarded that spot on the bench, I don't mind at all. He offers a heap of
Yep.
utility. We often get caught out not having a back on the bench, so that having him there means that
Yeah.
he can come on and other players can move around. Charles can go in the centres, and obviously Tamari Martin can sort of cover fullback in the halves, and he's been
Yeah.
sort of lurking in the middle a little bit around your lock a few weeks ago as well. So, but yeah, the Tanner Boyd one's interesting, and then the fact that he's signed for another year. Maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe next year there's a plan in place. Moving someone around. I don't know. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
Harris Savita will sort of go to that 14 jersey, and then Boyd and Metcalf can make the halves their own. And then you got the likes of
But
obviously Jet Cleary sort of made his New South Wales Cup debut, I think on the weekend or maybe the weekend before. So
yeah,
he's obviously and
apparently he had a mean game. Yeah.
yeah, obviously he's obviously in the mix as well. So yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of depth in the club, and it's showing in all the grades. With that New South Wales Cup team, sort of they're really charging forward in that comp. And I haven't been able to
Yeah.
watch as much of it as I want to, but I need to start prioritizing it because I basically know,
Yeah.
it's like in the past you've been like, I don't really know the players, but yeah, I mean, there's so many guys in there now that Boyd's plays a lot. He's played a lot there. Tuapicki's
Yeah.
there. I think Laban's gone back there for this weekend. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's no shortage of it. So, hey, should we smash through some Wally M's before we touch on this weekend's game against the Rabbitohs and finish up the sort of review of the Raiders game?
Yeah, bro, kick us off, mate. Always love hearing your Wallians and the stats that you bring along with it, mate. So yeah, kick us off, mate.
You'll be happy to know I've
Uh,
got some stats this week. So, sweet. So my 3 points went to Jackson Ford. I thought I probably should have brought him up during the review of the game because I thought he was huge. I think he was
yeah,
our best by far. 209 running meters, 90
yeah,
post contact, 43 tackles. So he topped both the running meters and the tackle count for the Warriors. And that was off 55
yeah.
minutes off the bench. So to be able to put in that
Far
much
out.
work off the
55,
bench,
far out.
yeah, is huge. I was so impressed. He was everywhere, like, and he just looked like he just looks like, we saw in 2023 how good he was, really good. He was a staple in the team. Last year he kind of dropped off a bit at the start of the season. Neither of us had him in our sort of 17s for the comp, but for the Warriors. But yeah, I mean, there's no way that anyone's leaving him out of the team now. He's been definitely most improved and close to most valuable, I reckon, if it wasn't for Aaron Clark. So
Yeah,
speaking of Aaron Clark, he got my two, so he's charging ahead at the top of the Wally M. So he's currently leading on 21 and the Wally M
yeah,
comp. But yeah, another just classic sort of performance from him. Workhorse, 147 meters off 16 runs and 37 tackles off about 65 minutes, I think it was. So yeah, I mean, he's just week in, week out, just putting up these numbers every week, and you could almost wouldn't make a big deal about it because it's just what we've come to expect from him this year. So yeah, I'm just loving what I'm seeing from him, and he's definitely,
Yep.
if not the best buyer of the year, the in the top three, hands down. And I give RTS one. I thought, yeah, he was a little bit slow the week before when he came back, but yeah, I thought he was great. 18 runs, scored a pretty good try. Like it kind of live, it looked easy, and then you saw the slow motion and how much work he had to do to sort of, get his body over the line. And he had 180 running meters off, and 8 tackle breaks, and he had a line break assist for Chance when Chance sort of charged his way up the field a little bit as well, and it could have led to a lot more. It was a lovely piece of sort of ball playing from
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
So I talked before about Dallin and Ali and how they hadn't sort of they only had about 150 meters between them. So the fact that Roger was putting 180 meters together sort of made up for that a little bit. But so hopefully he can continue that
Yeah.
in the weeks. Who you got for us, bro?
Mine is very similar to yours, except for one player. So Jackson Ford as well. I didn't realize he had played only 55 minutes. I mean, I know that he came off the bench, but didn't realize it was only 55 minutes. That's a lot of meters to do to make in 55 minutes. But we all know that he's just got an engine on him, doesn't he? And he just continues to impress, and he just does the basic things right. He's not like a stylish player where he stands out because of like his flair or this or that, like a Payne Haas or a Mitchell Barnett or a James Fisher Harris. He just does the job. He makes the tackles. He gets the meters, post contact meters as well. He just does the job. He just does it well. So it's really awesome, and it complements Mitch Barnett and Fisher Harris when they come off. For their break, it's awesome knowing that you got Jackson Ford there to cover them. And can keep the momentum going, especially after what they will do, what they can do. And I think we missed both of them in that game, Fisher Harris and Mitch Barnett, and yeah, that shows you how much we need them playing. I mean, at least one of them could be playing, but obviously that wouldn't happen because of suspension. Aaron Clark got my 2 points because for same reasons as you're saying, just week in week out continues to impress, continues to do the hard mahi, and just his workload, but also his aggressiveness is awesome. And yeah, I just yeah. I mean, what else can you say about Aaron Clark? He's just amazing at the moment, isn't he? He's just doing really well, and he's just continues to do the job. And he's a club favorite. Everyone loves him because of what he's doing and stuff. So yeah, no, Aaron Clark. But for similar reasons, I want to give my 1 point to Kurt Capewell, captain on the night, first time captaining the Warriors. I just thought he had a stellar game. In attack and defense, I just thought he just like Aaron Clark and Jackson Ford just did the basics really well. He was always there in defense. I don't know how many tackles he made on the night, but I know he just know he had a really, really big game, and just another workhorse effort from Kurt Capewell. And I really thought that he would make Origin for the first game. I really thought that his performances of late would have got him into Origin, but obviously he's been overseen. Hopefully that might change for game 2, because I really think he deserves another shot at Origin, and I think if he took it, we'll see some awesome stuff. He took it last year. He took it when he actually wasn't actually playing that well for the Warriors last year. He got put in the side. The Queensland were a bit desperate, to be honest. But after he went into Origin last year, had an awesome game, came back to the Warriors, and then just did really well for the Warriors then. So it really helped. So for this time, I reckon he'd go in there with a bit more confidence. But yeah, Capewell for my 1. So 3, Jackson Ford for 3 points, Eric Clark 2, Capewell 1.
Nice, bro. Yeah, I agree. Good to see Capewell captaining, and kind of like a good sign for him where he is at the club. He's obviously enjoying it, and the club are obviously really enjoying him and acknowledging his leadership. And he seems to be in a position where doesn't matter what the club needs him to do, like he'll just step up. He's obviously played a lot of games down in the centre last couple of weeks as well. So yeah, I won't be. I mean, surely he'll be in Origin by game 3. Like if he keeps up this form, he seems to be really playing consistently at the moment. So love to see it. So yeah, I mentioned before we've got a game to look forward to this weekend, which was good. Another Sunday game, but 4 p.m. So a bit nicer on the family schedule for me. So Sunday at Accor Stadium, Warriors versus the Rabbitohs. Rabbitohs have won they won the overall head-to-head. So there's 39 games played. And it's
Yep.
21-18 to the Bunnies. The Warriors don't have a great win rate at a core stadium. It's at 40%, but that's not too bad, I suppose, when you think it's when you're travelling. Last time these two teams played was 34-4 win to the Warriors last year, and that was at a core stadium. But before that, the Bunnies have won 8 straight games. So obviously, the Warriors coming off their loss, so they'll be looking to avenge that, and the Bunnies are coming off a bye and had 2 wins in a row. We've got a team. Normally, when we record, we
Yeah.
don't have a team, so it's exciting times. Um,
Yep.
I've got it here. I can list it off quickly and just I suppose the main
Yep.
talking points are Rocco Berry's back in the centres with Pompey, Dallin and Roger on the wings with Chance at the back, Harris DeVita and Luke Metcalf in the halves again. James Fisher-Harris and Mitch Barnett back. So Mitch Barnett obviously playing Origin tonight, but seeing as the game on Sunday, providing he doesn't get injured, it should be all good. Wade Egan at
Yep.
hooker, Kurt Capewell and Noah Corey in the second row, Aaron Clark at lock, with Tamari Martin, Leka Halasima, Dimitri Valmolga, and Jackson Ford on the bench. And Jacob, I mentioned before Jacob Laban was playing New South Wales Cup, but he's 18th man. And
Yep.
there's a few, Sam Healy, Tanner Boyd, Tanner Smith, and Tane Tuapiki. So a few guys who we've seen play this year on the extended bench. What was your thoughts on the team when you saw it, bro?
Oh, I thought it was actually a pretty good squad. To be honest, when you think it looks good. Like the forwards look really stacked. When you think about it, you got Fisher Harris, you got Barnett, Egan, then you got your second row is Nucure and Capewell. It's awesome. And then topped it off with Aaron Clark. That looks like a really solid forward pack right there.
Yeah.
And then with the bench when you got Jackson Ford, who we just singing his praises right now, Valmonga and Halasima there as well, and Tamari Martin as well as a cover on the backs. I think it's a pretty solid squad. I mean, and the backs look pretty good as well. It's just they look good by name. That's what I'm gonna say. They can look good by name, but um, I think Chance is doing pretty well at the moment. Like you said, I think in terms of fullback flashiness, I think he's more of a workhorse. It just gets a lot of meters and gets a lot of go forward for the Warriors team. The reason why they've been able to go forward so much this year and get up their end so easily, a lot of it has to do with Chance because he takes the kick and he gains a lot of meters. May not break the line all the time, but he gains a lot of meters. So that's what gets us and lays the platform for us to actually do something out in the opposition end. The only problem is that we're not always doing something at the opposition end. Um, Again, DWZ needs to find some form. Got the faith that he's going to find some form because we need him to. Pompey didn't have the greatest game last week, as you mentioned before, but he hasn't had a bad season. I think he's had a pretty good season so far, so you can't really fault him on anything. Berry, I love Berry, but at the same time, coming back from injury again, unfortunately for him, he's just had the worst run of luck when it comes to injuries. And but hopefully we know what he can do, so hopefully he can do that without getting injured. And then my thoughts on the halves. I think Harris DeVita and Metcalf are a good halves pairing, but I just think it could be better. That's just my thoughts on that. So I mean, overall, it's a pretty strong squad, and I think looking at the South squad, it looks stronger than the South squad, but you can't really undermine the old Rabbitohs because they could pull something out of the hat, a rabbit out of the hat, so they say. So, um, yeah, so good old. I saw that Ewan Aikens in there playing in the second row. Left the Dolphins, playing for South. Now he's in the second row for the Bunnies. So a
Yeah.
former Warrior right there, a old veteran there. But there's a lot of players there that are really never really heard of before. They're not really that well known, are they? So it's a different South side from previous years, but you can't write them off. But I still think
Yeah,
we're going
mate.
to take it. But yeah, can't write them off. Yeah,
You've still got Latrell Mitchell, who's a guy who can single-handedly, one of the few players who can single-handedly, if he's on, you know,
yeah,
win a game for any team. Um, Alex
yeah,
Johnson on the wing, he's still chasing that all-time try scorer record. Campbell Graham,
yeah,
who's been on the Queensland camp, so I know New South Wales camp, sorry. So he would have had a lot of,
yeah,
coming into this with a bit of wisdom. And the halves have got big. I'm looking forward to the battle of the halfbacks actually, to two hot boys and Jamie Humphries and Luke Metcalf. I don't know if you've been watching much of South earlier in the season when Jamie Humphries was playing, but he was playing out of his skin. I think he he maybe even won two games on a field goal. Oh no, he won one game and Latrell won the other one. But he looks a real good player as
Yeah,
well, so I'm looking forward to that. And
yeah,
there's some big boys up the front with Gia Jairo and Keon Kealoa-Matangi up against James
yeah,
Fisher-Harris and Mitch Barnett. So I reckon there'll be some big hit ups there. So and
yeah,
yeah, lock for the Rabbitohs, young Lachlan Hubner looks like a real young talent. So I'm looking forward to his battle with Aaron Clark. And I'm a little bit worried about the sight of Jai Gray on the bench as well in the 14 jersey because when he was playing fullback here in the year, he was leading the Dally M's at one point, and he's just an absolute little pocket rocket. I talked before about how we're missing that
yeah.
player that can just spark something, and he's
Like a
the
witch hunt, right?
definition of yeah, like a Dillashaw, yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
he's the definition of
yeah,
that Dry Gray. So yeah, like similar sort of mold. So it'll be interesting to see how they play him, because he's quite little, so he may come on. I don't know, maybe defending at the back, or if they have if they have a injury in the back, then Latrell can move around and he can go
yeah.
into fullback. So it'll be interesting to see how they play him at 14. But yeah, don't sleep on this Rabbitohs team. There's a good team. I said before, they've come off a couple of good wins. And will
Yeah.
be fresh off the break, and they've got a couple of guys who played Origin. So, and as I said before, we had lost 8 games straight to the Bunnies before that win last year. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a little bit, yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. I sort of dug up some stats before. So we've scored, the Bunnies have scored an average of 16 points per game and conceded 21, and we've scored
Yeah.
19 points per game and conceded 19 as well. So I'm predicting maybe like a 22-18 win to the Warriors based on those sort of rough stats. Have you got
Okay.
any hot take on how the game's going to play out?
Well, not really. I mean, what I hope for is that the Warriors will just realize that their attack isn't good enough. Um, like they've got the players to do it, and what I'm saying, and so just to go back to what I was saying before, that Harris Tavita has got the ability to do it as well. To attack really well as well. But as a whole, they haven't been doing it. So I just hope that they just really worked on it. I just really hope that the Warriors are going to use this game as one where they do what they do every game, drive up the middle, make the yards, set the foundation for the halves, and I think now in the halves have to just manage that really well. I just really want to see good management from the halves and executing the plays really well, and no more of the side to side stuff. It's just so frustrating when you see the ball just go side to side and you see them running on angles to the side instead of straightening up. All good teams straighten up. I mean, we all know that's no myth or anything. It's just fact. Every team that run up against the ball, they run up. They have runners running through. They run up, straighten up, and then they pass it out behind the ball, the player that's coming through. So to try and lure the other players in, so you create gaps. That's not what's been happening with the Warriors. They should keep going running side to side, leaving the defender to be able to stop them in their tracks. So no hot takes, but maybe all I want to see is just a better attack. I'm really confident about our defense. I'm not worried about our defense. It's the attack, and we need points in our points differential, because if this competition ends up being a really tight one, which kind of is at the moment, points differential, it could come down to a lot. Things could come down to points differential. I hear a lot of people talk about, the Warriors are second equal on the ladder. Yeah, no, they're third. They're second equal on points, but technically they're third because of points differential. So
No,
it's just like
you wouldn't be saying that if we were first equal, though, would you, John? You'd be like,
no,
yeah, no, we're
I would
first.
be.
Yeah, no, we're first equal. We're not
Nah,
second.
I would be because I've always been into the stats and stuff, and I just think that for example, just for example, just say we're in the top four. I mean, sorry, we're just say okay, right now the Storm are on just say 16 points. They're on fourth position right now on 16 points. Just say we were on 16 points by the end of the season as well. Just this is hypothetical here, but so we're fourth equal with them, but we're in fifth position because of points differential. we don't get the privileges of being in the top four. You know how the top four play teams get an extra
Yeah.
game, etc. If they lose, yeah. So you can say, oh, we're in the top four because we're fourth with equal, but you don't get the privileges. So that's why I see it in a different way that way. So yes, technically, well, I keep saying technically, but we're on 18 points with the Raiders, on par with them, but they are in legitimate second space because of a second spot. Sorry, because of the points differential. Like I said, they've got a 70 point plus 70 points differential, whereas we're on -1, which is not the greatest stat to look at. We know, but hey, somehow we're in third position, which is awesome. So they're doing it somehow, but yeah, I would just love to see the attack improve for this game. I just really would love to see a good attack complement our awesome defense that we've been doing this season so far.
Sweet. And 30 seconds, John. Who's
Yeah.
the one player you're watching to straighten up the attack this week?
Oh, Metcalf, just Metcalf. I think he probably, I think that he would have looked, probably looked in the mirror and said, I could have done a better job. So I think that'll be in the back of his mind. And I think that, I just think, I'm not saying this because I thought he had a bad game or anything. I'm just saying this. I think he's taken that load on his own shoulders, to think I'm the general here. It's my responsibility to do this, so I need to be better, sort of type thing. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see a big, awesome game from Metcalf, which is good because it's good for us. It's good for him into the Dally M because he's still on top of the Dally M points at the moment. And hopefully that stays that way. The judging of the points goes behind closed doors this week. So yeah, picking a big game for Metcalf after last week.
Nice. I'm going to go with Halasima back on the bench. He's had a
Nice.
few games starting. I feel like he maybe hasn't been as effective as some of the games where we've seen him come off the bench and maybe running some tired defence. So,
Yeah.
and he sort of offers that spark and he's that real, I feel like we're sort of missing the offloader that the Warriors have seen a lot of in the past. So yeah, hopefully Leka can bring the heat off the bench and catch some tired defences napping. Anything
Yep.
to add on that game before we do a quick whip of the tips?
No, nothing more to add to the game. Just looking forward to, like you said, watching on a Sunday afternoon and expecting the Warriors to return to their winning ways. And yes, a little bit of a setback last week against Raiders, but again, it wasn't like they were hammered or anything. I just think that we've got the potential to do a lot better, and I hope that they'll learn from those mistakes from the last game, and we'll see them up against the South Sydney Rabbitohs this coming week. But before we go to tips, mate, can I just go off topic for a second and ask you a question? Something that's sort of going really, it's a pretty hot topic at the moment in terms of sport, but it comes into rugby league as well. So the whole run it straight thing. You heard about the run it straight sort of league competition that they've got going?
Yeah, right.
What
I
are your
have
thoughts on
indeed.
that? Because because as you might have heard today, a young boy from Palmerston North um, died playing that with his mates. They had a head injury. I'm not sure exactly specifically what happened or how he was tackled or anything like that, but it was obviously a fatal blow. And um, watching it a little bit of stuff, for me it just looks a bit silly. There have been people getting knocked out. Some medical conditions have come from it as well and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I just want to
Yeah,
see
bro.
what your thoughts on the run it straight competition. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones where when I was, 19, 20, we were doing that, in the backyard at parties and uh, not proud of it, but, that's just
yeah,
what sort of teenage boys um, they do. And yeah, it was
yeah.
really, really, really sad to hear. I work in Palmy, so yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday actually who he worked at the rugby club where the boy had played in years, so knew him and yeah, so it's just a really really sad thing. I did listen to a podcast last week with one of the sort of the guys promoting the Run It Straight, and it was on the Sports Cafe podcast, and they, the Sports Cafe host was sort of saying, oh, this, they were a bit felt a bit uneasy about so the way this guy was talking it up. And obviously with this happening,
Yeah.
and there was an event last week in Auckland where apparently someone got I didn't actually see it, but someone got tackled and basically was having like a seizure on the ground afterwards. So having these sort of things happen is just gonna raise a lot of questions, really, isn't it? I mean, we're watching league, and listen to the comments that you talked before about Ricky Stewart, what he was saying about like the
Yeah.
contact, and when we watch, part of the reason we watch league and rugby union is for the contact, and NFL as well. But we're finding out more and more that there is yeah. I mean, there's these effects from it, but the run out straight one seems a bit. It's not for me. We'll just say that.
Yeah, same for me. And I'll just quickly read this quickly. I know we're going to get into tips and stuff because Origin's going to start soon. So I want to quickly, but I just thought it was important to say this because, we love the game of rugby league, but it's to endorse, I can't endorse that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Sort of thing. So, New Zealand Rugby League had a statement saying, at New Zealand Rugby League, we are constantly striving to better the health and well-being of our players and wider communities. We work closely alongside key partners like ACC to ensure everyone involved in rugby league is as safe as possible, with leading programs designed to minimise the risk of injury, including head injuries. New Zealand Rugby League is not associated with nor encourages participation in any events or collision sports like Run It. It's concerning to see people in these events putting themselves at risk of serious injury, and we strongly encourage our rugby league community to only participate in games or events organised or sanctioned by New Zealand Rugby League, our zones and districts, or our associates. In doing so, we can help control and mitigate the health and safety of all involved. So I just thought that was a pretty good statement from New Zealand Rugby League. So I just thought it was important just to say that because we are a rugby league podcast, and yeah, it's just while we love the hits in rugby league and stuff, it's controlled on the field. Where this is just ridiculous, where people just you go in there to hit them as much as you can. It doesn't matter where, if it's high or low, you do it. So yeah, wanted to say that. That's all.
It's not like the old bull rush days, where you can run around or you're trying to fend them off and stuff. Yeah. Just, I mean, but then how is it any different to UFC and that sort of thing? It's going to open up a big can of worms, and there's someone was saying yesterday that Dan Hooker, like an ex, well, he's probably still doing UFC, but he's been sort of hosting these big backyard brawls and all all this stuff, and it's just
I saw that.
Yeah. Like, how's it different to just watching people pummel each other in the face as opposed to running at each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's both.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of questions to be asked, so we'll see what comes from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Origin's about to start, so let's do these tips and get out of here. So I will start off with New South Wales, Queensland. I'm going to go New South Wales. Got a feeling you're going to go Queensland, are you?
Oh, as always, mate. As always.
Friday night, Dragons versus the Knights. Can the Knights make it 2 in a row?
Yeah, they did pretty well on the weekend, didn't they?
Without Ponga.
Yeah. Interesting enough. It was against Penrith, wasn't it, as well? It was against the Panthers, wasn't it? I think it was against the Panthers, I think. But, I'm going to give it to the Dragons. Yep.
Yeah, same here. Titans, Storm. Storm, it is on Friday night, so they might have a few of their players out, so it's always hard, but I'm still going to back them, even if they've got a player or two out.
Yeah, Storm.
Cowboys versus Tigers. So the Cowboys will obviously have Cotter and Nenai, and no, Taulagi's not playing, is he? He's injured. Yeah,
Reece Robson.
Reece Robson too. Yeah, of course. Yeah, and Tigers coming out. They don't have anyone playing, so they might be a bit fresher. I quite like the Tigers here actually. Get over all the Lockley.
Yeah, I was going to say Tigers as well.
Drama.
Yeah, I don't mean is he playing? Because I know he's signed with the Bulldogs, so yeah.
No, he's not been named this week. I think they've sort of just given him a week off.
Oh no, he's out. He's out. Sorry, I just looked at it now. He's out.
Yeah. I don't think he's injured or anything. I think he's just got some time to clear his head. Seagulls, Broncos up next. Two teams who are not in great form. A hard one to pick. I mean, either team could probably win by 30 points, I reckon, if if they show up. I want to go Seagulls just on home ground advantage, and the fact Tommy T looked a little bit. He looked a little bit better last week, I thought.
I'm gonna give it to the Broncos. Yeah, just Broncos. Just have a feeling, gut feeling. Broncos.
Nice, bro. Rabbits, Waz. Both going Waz.
Yep, was. Yep.
Panthers, Eels. Panthers, Eels lost to the Knights last week. Eels looked good without Moses on Friday night. I like the Eels here.
I'll go Panthers. I think they'll bounce back from, especially if they get their players back as well. All right, guys. So Richard's having some issues with his microphone, so we're having a bit of a technical issue. So I'll just wrap everything up from here. We had one more game for tips, and that was the Roosters versus the Raiders. Richard has gone with the Raiders, and I'm going to go with the Roosters just because, yeah, bloody grub team, and yeah, they pissed me off. So I'll leave it at that. But we'll wrap it up now because State of Origin is literally going to start in 10 minutes. So you know what? Up the Mighty Maroons. I know that Richard can't say anything, so I know he'll be saying up the Blues. So Richard, sorry mate, up the Maroons. If you're loving the show, please give us a like and a subscribe. We're loving the support at the moment. You can find us on on the usuals like the Spotify, YouTube, Apple, everything like that. So yeah, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you next week for the next episode. See you later, everybody.